Let's get more on this now with Chris Stokel-Walker in Newcastle in the UK. He's a tech journalist and author. Welcome back to the programme, Chris. Now, how significant is the threat of artificial intelligence to white-collar jobs, as the Mayor of London has put?
I think pretty significant, and not least because of some of the developments that we've seen over the Christmas break. The rollout of tools like Claude Code and the latest AI models mean that actually a lot of this stuff that we would usually rely on a slew of consultants, as you say, white-collar workers, sometimes big four consultancies more generally, can now often be done by these AI models and automated. And, it's not just Sadiq Khan that is saying this in London. It is the International Monetary Fund. They are always watching this sort of thing, looking for the impact on jobs. About a year ago, they said that 4 in 10 jobs would be affected in some way, shape or form by AI, most of those being white-collar jobs. And just ahead of Davos next week, they're warning that this could be an even more significant change based on early data that they've looked at across 6 different countries.
Right, and London sits at the heart of finance and the creative industries. Are those sectors actually more exposed than others?
Yeah, if you look at, for instance, finance, an awful lot of number churning, we already see large automation in there in terms of high frequency trading and things like that. You stick your numbers into a model, you then get out the results, and there is some human intuition, but actually large parts of that process are done by computers, even in a pre-AI era. Now, with the creative industries and the service industries, both of which are very, very strong in London and the UK more generally, well, we're starting to see these LLMs like ChatGPT, like Claude, and like Google Gemini becoming more adept at being able to do some of these things. So I think that there are impacts that will be had in some jobs. It's just a case of whether or not you are going to become a co-pilot or your job goes onto autopilot.
And how can the workforce be protected in this environment?
Well, this is one of the things that the IMF is really pushing for ahead of Davos. It has said that governments need to rethink their strategies around employment, reskilling, and also the sort of social support that can happen when you happen to lose your job. So I think that what we need to see is a little bit more AI literacy, not just within governments, and we are seeing that, I suppose, in the UK government, a strong adoption of that, but also a more public awareness campaign. 1 in 10 people worldwide use ChatGPT. That is a significant number, but it does leave 90% of the population not interacting with an AI system in any way at all. And so if you are going to be swept up by this, I would suggest that it's probably best to familiarize yourself with how it can do things and then figure out how you can insulate yourself from that disruption.
And could that therefore bring about more regulation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we're seeing is a significant risk of this sort of stuff. We've seen, obviously, regulation in terms of deepfakes with Elon Musk and Grok in the last week or so, a big push there and actually getting him to back down. Similarly, I think, given that this is going to have economic shaping potential, you can see the idea that some sort of regulation could be tabled or developed by different countries to figure out how on earth they deal with this whole thing.
Right, and going on those deepfake concerns, does that essentially show that the risk of AI is no longer in the future, but currently a present one?
Yeah, I think that the Elon Musk incident was perhaps the first major moral test of AI where you could be in the wrong side of the argument and very much be agreed to be in the wrong side of the argument. We've had debates over copyright, we've had debates over job displacement. With those, there's generally a bit of both sidesism where you can see the argument on both sides. When it comes to manipulating images to, frankly, intimidate 51% of the population, I think that there is a very clear right and wrong, and you have to be very much on the right side of the argument there.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Chris Stokel-Walker in Newcastle, thank you very much as always.